let's look at our first sweep using the spider guard. All right, this sweep is a very, very strong sweep. I like to call it the hammer sweep due to how much force and momentum that we can get with this sweep. All right, and it's one of the ones that we want to use a lot to always be checking their base, their balance, and in fact will help us set up omoplatas and triangles as well. Okay, so let's take a look. So we achieved our guard headquarters here, okay, and now we're ready to start to transition into our spider guard, with our foot in the bicep, keeping our distance, all right, keeping our tension and breaking grips. Now, on this sweep, it's very important that we have good distance, okay? If he's too close to me, I'm not going to get the leverage that I need to sweep him over, okay? Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from being on my right side here to my left side, okay? To help me do that, I'm going to use my leg for a little bit of momentum, all right? So I'll swing my leg, and as I start to turn, I'll put my weight onto my foot that is onto his bicep, okay? To help me pivot, all right? So as I'm going, I'm kind of anchoring down on his bicep here with my foot so my hip can elevate and I can twist all the way to my other side. Once I'm on this side, I'm going to kick his arm up, pull this arm, and kick his leg all together to knock him over. Here I'm on my elbow, ready to pull myself up into the mount. Okay? All right? So let's look at some of the common mistakes with this one. All right? If I don't have enough distance, like right here, his knee is really close to my butt. If I try to swing into this, I'm not at the point where I have the most power. Okay? Here, he's a little closer. I'm hitting him more with my thigh and not with my calf and foot. Okay? And so here I lose a little bit. Same thing with this leg. I lose my ability to turn him over so much because he's too close to me. Okay? So that's why I need to be sure I have good distance. All right? I scoot away first. Now when I swing into the position here, he's at the bottom part of my leg. Okay? And now when this leg can extend and have the most power all at once. All right? You see how just in that foot itself already makes him want to get knocked over. Okay? And that's the other thing. Make sure that you use all three of these movements together. Okay? A lot of times people will skip this kick and use it as more of a trip. All right? But when I kick these both together is what gives me the most power. Okay? And then once again, making sure I pull this sleeve. All right? So we do all those together with the momentum that I gain from coming from this side that makes this sweep very powerful. All right? So, foot's in the bicep, good space, okay, good distance. You can use this leg to kind of help me swing into it as I rotate onto my other side and then kick and pull his sleeve, and kick my legs together at the same time to bring myself to mount. So, on that, it's very important, that we have that distance. All right. This is one of the techniques where if they're too close, you're not going to be successful. Okay. But when you have the right distance and you get all that momentum and put everything together at once, it's really, really hard to not get swept over. All right, let's look at some nice follow-ups to do whenever we have a failed hammer sweep, okay? Like I said, the hammer sweep is something that we want to use a lot, always kind of checking the guy's base and balance, and it's a great way to make him think about the sweep and then come back with a submission attack, all right? So let's look at how this could work. We'll say first that my hammer sweep really didn't do much, okay? I didn't really knock him over. He just kind of spread his base because he saw the hammer sweep coming, okay? So, whenever I'm here, I get my space, I go for it, but it just, he kind of spread out and it didn't happen, all right? Well, now this is a great time to then switch into a triangle, okay? So I'm here, his head's now even lower because he spread his base a little bit. I'll just bring my foot to his hip and then immediately shoot my leg over, lock my legs, pinch him down, and go back to the triangle like you guys have already learned. Okay? Again, let's look at it from the side. So here, I go for the hammer sweep, but he's too low. Okay? Now my foot's just going to come right into his hip. I'm going to kind of go to the center and pull hard with this arm to get his elbow out from my leg. Here, shoot the triangle, make my adjustment, and there's my finish. Alright? Now that's how I like to look for the triangle. Let's look at another situation where we can catch the omoplata. This time, I'm able to kind of knock him over, but he does a good job of landing on his elbow and not his side. Alright? So I know he's going to come back up really fast. Okay? So, we're here. I go for the sweep, and he falls, but he stays on his elbow. Okay? And he's about to come back up. As he comes back up, you see how I bring my leg to the inside of his arm. So now I'm ready to just extend and kick and hit with the omoplata. Okay? So the biggest thing is that after they get knocked over, let's go over here, that we reposition our leg. Okay? So I'm here, he falls, you see how I bring my leg back in front, and I'm just going to kind of anchor down and come right back on the other side for the omoplata. Okay? One more time on that one. So he falls. As he's coming up, I shoot and hit my omoplata. Maybe I go straight for the roll for the position that we just did. Okay, so there's a couple nice combinations. Blending the sweeps and the submissions together, going from the hammer sweep to the triangle, or the hammer sweep to the omoplata. Okay, now with our spider guard, we're going to start to look at kind of some more advanced stuff now whenever the guy that's in our guard brings his leg in the middle. All right. So far from our spider guard, the techniques we've looked at have all been with the person remaining on their knees. Okay. Of course, some people will approach the guard like that, especially bigger guys who can't move as fast. Will stay on their knees and just try to put more weight on you. But most people, to protect themselves, they feel more comfortable with at least having one knee up to help protect against triangles and omoplatas and things like that. All right. So this is a very common scenario that we'll run into when playing spider guard. Okay. So let's look at how we're going to deal with that. So we'll start in our headquarters here. Okay. Get our foot in the bicep. Start to scoot away and set up our spider guard. All right. And there he goes, bringing his knee up. Okay. Very common. It's going to make it harder for me to attack this arm from omoplatas. He's going to be able to keep his elbow and knee together. It's also going to help stop against triangles by keeping this in my way. So, it's pretty expected to run into this, depending on the opponent, all right? He's either going to bring this one leg up or maybe he might stand, all right, which we'll also look at. But for now, let's talk about this knee in the middle, okay? First thing I want to do is, make sure I keep that distance once again, okay? I don't want that knee to get too close to me, all right? So here I'm still kind of keeping him, kind of chasing and following me. He's not too set up to do anything right away, all right? Now, I'm going to use this leg to my advantage, okay? It's there, so let's use it, all right? From here, I'm going to use my spider guard to transition to a little bit of a De La Riva, all right? So real similar as if I'm going for the hammer sweep, I'm going to kind of swing and rotate using my leg, and I'm going to pivot to the outside of his knee and bring my leg through for the De La Riva, just like this, okay? Now that I have that leg through, I can start to check his base and balance again, all right? From here, I'll use my foot on the bicep to tilt him over, okay? Sit back up. And at the same time, with the foot on the bicep, I'm going to extend my leg, all right? When I extend this leg to wrap around his legs, it'll twist his hip and make it really easy for me to turn him over, okay? Now from here, because he has that knee in the middle, right here, I need to be wary of where I'm going to land when I come on top. So to help make this really easy, as I start to come on top, I'm going to move my foot from the bicep to in between his legs. So as I come up, I'm landing in a position where I can immediately look to get my underhook and go into a cross knee pass. I don't want to come up on top too fast and possibly land at a point where he could be in a position to sweep me backwards. Okay, and we'll look at that here. So again, we get into our spider guard. Keep good distance. If this is all, tight to me here, this messes up my movement. All right, so make sure you use this foot. Scoot away. Keep yourself free. All right. Now, I'm going to use my leg, and I'm going to rock and pivot to where my body's now on the outside of that leg, of his knee. Okay? And that makes it easy for me to insert my leg through for the De La Riva. Now, you see when I extend this leg here, that turns him. At the same time, I add my foot on the bicep, and that'll tilt him over. Okay? Now, if I rush and came on top just like this, look how I could land in like what we call a one-legged X guard. Okay? This is a great sweeping position for him, and I could very easily get swept right back. All right? So my progression would be slowed down if I come up into that position. So, first off, if you do rush on top and that knee stays in your way, keep control of both sleeves. All right? If I let go of that sleeve, he'll be able to underhook and get to a better position. So at the very least, I'll keep control of both these sleeves and look to start to drive my knee down. Now I'm in a position where I can actually start to bring some of my pressure passing game into work, maybe looking to create a side smash, okay? And some other good things that I can do there, all right? But at the very least, whenever I come up, if I can just at least get my knee down, now I'm not in any danger of getting swept right back again, all right? Or the first option, go from the foot on the bicep, coil your leg back in between his legs, then come on top with your knee in the middle. From here, I can use my sleep control to turn that into an underhook and get my cross knee pass. Okay, one more time. We have our spider guard. He brings the knee in the middle. We're looking for our hammer sweep. Now we use the De La Riva to help us. And be wary of where you're going to land on top after your sweep. All right? Because we're always working to bring multiple movements together. All right? So every sweep should have a strong pass followed up with it. All right? If I just sweep and I don't think about my pass, I may land in a position where he could sweep me right back. Okay, let's look at a really nice follow-up to do off the sweep that we just did. You're going to run into people that have very good base and balance and do a good job of making the adjustment when they feel like they're off balance to one side. And the nice thing is with this position, if they make the adjustment, they're only going to make it easier for us to sweep them to the other direction. All right, let's look at how we'll do that. So, once again, we set up our spider guard. Okay? Good distance. He brings that knee up. So from here, I kick, pivot, get into my De La Riva, and I'm looking to take him to my left. But here he's kind of adjusted his weight, and I don't feel like I have the ability to take him to the left anymore. All right? So when I feel this, I'm going to let go of the foot on the bicep, and I'm going to start to bring this in right next to his knee where my foot is in front of his thigh already. So from here, I'm going to bring it right there. Okay? Now, from here I can kind of extend him and pull his sleeves, and I'm going to tilt my hip, okay, to my right. And what that does is it's going to use my knee under his knee to help knock him over, okay? So once I realize I can't take it to my left, I bring my foot to his knee, and I'm going to pull his sleeves and tilt him kind of just like a steering wheel, using my knee under his leg, and make him fall to the other side. Now, once again, we're always thinking about the follow-up, okay? So from here, when I come up on top, I want to take advantage of this position and immediately bring my knee down between both his legs, okay? All my pressure passing students out there will realize that we just use this sweep to get into the side smash position. Or from here, I can drop my weight And now I can start to look at passing directly to mount. All right? So, bringing all my best positions together for one complete game. Okay? So again, here, foot on the bicep. He brings his knee in the middle. We scoot away. Insert our De La Riva. Look for our first sweep. He adjusts his weight. I bring my foot here to his knee and his thigh. And just so everyone can understand, let's turn it this way. My knee here is the one that's doing most of the work. All right, this is how I tilt him. So, you know where my foot goes? Here, I'm pulling and turning. As I scoop my hip, look how I use my knee to knock him over. All right? Now from here, I come up using my elbow, drop my knee down, and now I'm ready to work with my side smash position here on top. This is a very simple sweep, just a simple side-to-side motion, okay? Really hard for him to stop both sweeps, but it's very important that you still go for your first sweep to make him make the reaction to give you the second sweep, all right? Don't skip ahead and go straight for your second option because maybe he won't have his weight in place for that move yet, all right? But when you go 1-2, it's really, really easy to knock him over. And we have a great way to come up on top and immediately put pressure using the side smash. All right, for this next position, we're going to talk about the person really having good base and balance once again and not giving us either sweep too easily, all right? And so we're going to use a position I like to call the De La Riva X. And that's going to give us a lot more options and ways to control them and look for different things that they might be giving us, okay? So everything will be the same. We get into our spider guard. They bring that leg in the middle. We go for our number 1, okay? He adjusts. We go for our number 2, he adjusts again. Maybe his weight's a little more back now, okay? Well, now, to help me just kind of lock and keep him in position, I'm going to bring my leg through, and now if you turn a little bit, you'll see how my legs are making an X around his leg, okay? Just like this, all right? So I like to call this the De La Riva X, okay? So I'm using the De La Riva, and I'm making an X around his back leg, so he really won't be able to stand or post or get out of this without much, without a big fight, okay? So now I'm here, okay? Now, this is nice because I have him locked up and I can still continue to check his base and balance each side, all right? And I can kind of change my grips a little bit. I could keep the sleeves, okay? Or maybe I might want to go more to like his collar where I can push his shoulder, okay? I could go with the collar and try to take him to the other side, okay? And I can really start making it hard for him to really keep his base and balance, and stay in this position, okay? Now, the other thing about this position I like to do a lot is also look for the arms, okay? So I'm here, and I'm working his base and balance, and a lot of times they forget, that his arm's right there, okay? So many times I'll switch and get this into, a wrist control, okay? And come over and look to attack a Kimura, all right? Now this will probably force him to roll. Once I start to get my angle for it, he's going to roll. But now I'll be able to come on top and maybe follow up with my attack here. Okay? Once again, we have the De La Riva X again. Okay? The other thing that'll happen a lot, especially when I sit backwards, I'm really trying to take him over. You see how he's sitting back. Okay? What happens is when he sits back, sometimes his elbow comes more forward than his knee and his body, okay? So when I'm here and I'm pulling him, I see his elbow's out, but he's too far back for me to sweep him, okay? So now I can come back to the foot on the bicep and bring my leg back over and look to start to lock up an omoplata here and change my attack, okay? So that's another option. So, once again, we're just kind of going over how I can use the De La Riva X for his, for the sweeps to both directions and also possibly attacking his arm. So once again, I spin here. I look for my sweeps. It didn't work, so I make my De La Riva X. Once again, I'm still working his base. I can maybe use the hand on the collar, see how that could help me. Now I can come up. A lot of times maybe I'll switch to this collar and pull him hard to this side. Okay? And now here I can come up into my cross knee. Or maybe I see his arm becomes available for the Kimura. Maybe I'm trying to tilt him and I see his elbow comes out a little bit where I can attack with the omoplata. Okay? Here. If this leg is up in my way from the omoplata, I'm going to grab his pants with my hand. Okay, turn him just a little bit. Yes. Here. I'll grab his pants, dip my elbow in, use my foot on the mat to scoot away as I extend his leg above my head. Just like this. Now I can sit up and look to finish the omoplata. Okay, so there's kind of a few different variations and different techniques in that little position there, bringing things together that we've already done, maybe with just a different grip, and then also keeping our eyes open to that arm in front becoming available. Sometimes they get so caught up on keeping their base in balance, they sit so far back and they forget about this arm. Okay, so always be aware of that arm position, how we can attack it there. And using that De La Riva X really keeps them kind of stuck and keeps us able to attack many different things at once. All right, so we're working with the spider guard, and so far, we talked about him bringing his leg in the middle. And the way he's been bringing his leg in the middle has been giving us space, okay? But sometimes, not everyone's going to post their leg up with quite so much space here. Sometimes they're a little more just on their toes, not so much flat-footed, and they're a little more forward with their knee, all right? This can complicate positions a little bit because now we don't have that space for the De La Riva, okay? So let's look at what we would do in this situation. So I start to get my spider guard game going. He brings his knee up, and you'll see the difference. Okay? Now there's no space back here for me to get my leg in for the De La Riva. Okay? He's a little more on his toes, driving his knee into me. Exactly. Okay? So for this situation, I like to do things a little different. Okay? This is what I like to call the shin hook. And it's going to be a great way for me to get this leg out of my way and put me in a position where I can attack omoplatas and triangles. So when I'm here, once again, I'm going to scoot away, okay, to give myself enough space where I can turn and bring my leg right in front of his leg, kind of ankle to ankle, shin to shin, here, all right? Now, I'm going to be pulling him, and at the same time, I'm just going to kick my leg out, making him fall back to his knee, here. So you see how I just put that leg back to its knee, so now there's nothing in my way for me then transitioning immediately into a triangle. Okay? So again, the leg's up. My goal is to get in front. So if I need a little more space, I can scoot away, get my leg in front. Notice how my knee stays out. Consider this almost like a butterfly hook. Okay? So my knee needs to stay pointed out, so it's a natural movement for me just to kind of extend and kick his leg down. All right? You've already seen the triangle, but I could also immediately pull his arm out, hit with my knee, and take the omoplata as well. Okay? Either of which is going to be available once we get that knee out of the way. Okay? And one thing to notice, sometimes they'll have their knee up in more of the traditional way that we've already looked at. But then when you scoot away, if they don't keep stepping, it'll fall into a position where we can use the shin hook. So for example, maybe he's got his knee up like that. But when I scoot away to keep my distance, it starts to lean forward. And then I can bring my shin hook in and bring that down and catch one of my submissions. Okay? So it might start in the De La Riva kind of position where we have the space for the De La Riva, but as we're moving, maybe it leans more forward to where then we want to look for the shin hook variation. Okay? So one more time. We're here. We scoot away. I see that kind of angle of his shin. Bring my leg in front. Pull. Pull, kick it down, and then attack. Okay? Omoplata or triangle. This is a very good way to clear that leg, get it out of our way, so we can attack the omoplata and the triangle. It's also a good way to bring them into closed guard, because then you'll have that knee out of your way. And it's just a good thing to do to kind of always keep them off balance and never really settled in too much with that leg up. All right, so a really nice move, and I also like to use the shin hook in some other ways from the guard that you will see later on as well. But this is definitely one of my favorite ways to open up the space for the omoplata. All right, let's look at another sweep option. Again, this time with their knee in the middle from the spider guard. All right, I like to call this sweep the Ted Day sweep. Okay, I remember watching Ted Day use this sweep a lot. He had a super fight with Pedro Pano years ago, and he was able to use this sweep very successfully, as well as whenever he competed at the World Championships in the ultra heavy division. He was using this a lot with the big guys. So this works really well with the big guys, and it's a great way to kind of use their own weight against them. All right, so let's take a look at it. So this time when we're playing with our spider guard, okay, and he brings his knee in the middle, instead of using our outside leg to go De La Riva, okay, we're going to use our inside leg. So you see how I bring this leg right there under the bend of his knee under his thigh. And this is going to allow me to kick him up kind of at a little bit of a diagonal angle and help me maneuver his base here, okay. At the same time when I kick with that leg, I'm going to push his arm between his legs and kick this foot up straight with the foot in the bicep, tilting him over, almost like I'm going over my right shoulder, okay? So it's very important, though, that I act fast, because with this knee up and that foot in the bicep, he might try to kind of slam my heel down into his knee to help free that grip, okay? So when I'm playing with this one, I want to go for this one right away, all right? So as soon as I see him bring that knee up and I have my foot in the bicep, I'm going to bring my leg in. You see how I turn a little bit, extending his arm between his legs. Now I add my kick and my pull with my leg. And from here, I kick him over and I kind of do a little bit of a roll. All right. Now if there's this much space, I could maybe try to go straight to mount. But more than likely he's going to have his knee in the middle, and I'm going to be more in this sort of position where I can look to go right into maybe a cross knee pass after the sweep. So again, you should be able to get some good momentum with this sweep to help you kind of almost shoulder roll on top, all right? So here's my inverted De La Riva. Arm goes between the legs. Kick a little bit like a steering wheel here, and be ready to roll. And now I could be in position to right away go for a cross knee pass, okay? One more time. So again, we're going to come inside instead of outside, kick, push, and kick the foot in the bicep. Here, now I'm deep inside for a cross knee, or I could set up my headquarters for any of my other passes that I like to do. All right, so another great option there when they have the knee in the middle, okay? This one looks fancy, but it's very, very easy, and it's a nice way to catch them by surprise.
right, so now we're going to start to talk about playing spider guard when the person stands. All right, a lot of things change in this scenario. Okay, I'm going to not have quite so many submissions to be able to attack, but it's going to open up a wide array of sweeps and different things that I can transition into. Since now that he's standing, I have more options. Okay, but it's also very important that I keep really strong positioning and good grips and tension, because when they're standing, they have the ability to move more and be a little more of a threat as far as passing goes. All right. So let's start to look at some of our attacks whenever they're standing. First off with the omoplata. Okay.
So let's say I managed to get my headquarters position. I start to bring my foot in the bicep, and my partner or opponent here decides to stand. Okay. So first thing, whenever I'm playing my guard and someone is standing, it's very important that I keep my hips slightly elevated so I have more tension. Okay? If we turn to the side here, if I keep my lower part of my back, right where my butt is about to start, if I keep that part of my body flat, it's a lot harder for me to latch on and stay tight to him, especially when he starts to back away and push my legs and things like that. Okay? So it's very important, once I get that foot on the bicep, my other foot's on the inside, I start to lift my hip here a little bit. So that way he's carrying me more. All right? And other than that, everything else is going to pretty much be the same. Okay? I'm still going to work extending that leg that's in the bicep, switching my legs side to side. All right? Kicking to break grips, kicking here, working inside like the grip break on the collar or the belt. I can still use all these grip breaks while he's standing, but you'll see how my hip stays off the mat. Okay, this little space here. All right, this is very important. Okay, now, like I said, I'm going to have a lot less submissions to attack, but I can still work for the omoplata. But there's going to be a few, slight adjustments that I'm going to need to make now that he's standing. All right, so I have my good spider guard position. I'm inside the arm, just like we talked about. Okay, so I have the space for the omoplata, but now there's more distance. Okay, he's higher up. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to anchor my weight down on the foot that's on the bicep here. And I'm going to use that to help me lift my hip up really high. Okay? And at the same time, this leg is going to shoot through that space around the armpit and allow me to kind of climb up to his shoulder. Okay? So you see how I put my foot there, all my weight's resting on there so I can bring my hip up and now bring my leg around the shoulder. All right? Now, I'm going to have a lot harder time breaking his posture since he's so tall. So more than likely, this omoplata, when they're standing, is going to turn into a sweep. All right? So whenever I'm here, and I shoot and I start to lock, all right, the other thing I'm going to be prepared for is, because both my hands are holding the sleeves right now at this moment, it's a good chance he's going to try to step around my head. Okay? And if I'm not careful, if he steps all the way around my head, he could possibly get a guard pass. All right? So I'm going to catch that leg as soon as I can, and I'm going to turn this into a sweep. Okay? So I'm here, shoot my hip up. He starts to step. Immediately I'm going to catch, kick, and extend my legs. Here I'm going to come up onto this elbow so I can use my hip to knock him over and finish the sweep right here. All right? Again. So I get my headquarters. I start to bring the foot in the bicep. He's standing, okay? I'm inside this space. I'm going to anchor down, shoot my hip, and lock, okay? So you notice now it's more calf behind the shoulder. Not as great as if he was lower. We could be tighter and break his posture down, but it's still good, okay? Now, I start to make my lock. I'm prepared for him to step. Immediately I catch, and I'm extending my legs forward to drive his head down. I'm on my elbow and use my hip to knock him over so I'm on top. All right? So the omoplata is a constant attack that we're always going to be looking for. It's a little easier to get when they're lower, but we can still attack it whenever they're standing. Just making sure we're making those little adjustments to help climb up so we can get tight behind the shoulder, and we're always ready to sweep immediately with the omoplata whenever they're standing.
Okay, let's start to look at some of our strong sweeping options that we have when we're working our spider guard and they're standing. We got some great stuff that we can, look to attack and help us get to top position. Okay, so.
All right, so I started to get my spider guard game going, and he's standing now. Okay, we already looked at the omoplata. Let's start to look at some of our sweeps. All right, so my left foot is here on the bicep, nice and strong. Okay, as soon as I, have this foot in position, I want to start to create an angle. Okay, so I'm going to use my right foot, and I'm going to hook around his leg, and I'm going to use that to help turn and rotate me to the side here, making this angle. All right, this is going to bring me close to his leg. And immediately I'm going to look to underhook this leg and grab his pants. Okay? This is just going to give me a little bit of a stronger grip. All right? Now, it's very important that I keep good tension on the grip and with my leg here in the bicep on this side. If my leg's a little bent, it's going to be pretty easy for him to start to free my foot off his bicep, and circle his hand free. Okay? So I want to keep this leg strong. All right? Now, the more that I just stay here, he can start to back up and maybe push my leg down to the mat, and I lose my foot in the bicep, all right? So once I get the angle using that foot, I'm going to put this foot on the mat, and I'm going to start to scoop my hip in, just like this, okay? Now this is locked out really tight. He can't back away and slam my foot down, and I'm ready to take him all the way over for the sweep, all right? So from here, I'm just going to keep this leg straight, and I'm going to open it over to the mat, directing him over with my foot in the bicep, just like this,
here, and I'm right away rolling up on top, all right? From here, a lot of times we can beat them and go right into like a knee in the belly. Maybe he might get his knee in a little bit, but it won't be too much for me to be able to clear that leg with my other hand and right away start to drop in and land in side control. So again, starting from the knees, I got my headquarters, he stands. I get my foot in the bicep, okay? Watch my other foot. Look how I hook around the outside of his leg, and immediately I'm turning and getting my grip and underhooking this other leg here, all right? Now my foot goes to the mat, and we're scooting under, just pretty much trying to take our hips between their legs here, and at the same time opening this leg out. Just like this, okay? And then we look to get to the top position, all right? One more time, a little faster. So here, we get our foot in the bicep, immediately open, scoot, and get the sweep. So this is a very basic sweep using the spider guard, but it's really strong, and we're going to have some great transitions and different things we can follow up to using this angle and this sweep.